Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So this morning, being Radharani's appearance day, I sang this beautiful bhajan by Rupa Goswami, our Abhideya Guru. We can't really understand the glories of Srimati Radharani. In one sense, even Krishna has a hard time to understand Radharani's glories because they are so vast and ever increasing. But it is our duty, our seva, to repeat what we have heard and to discuss her glories. And even repeating is not easy. So I pray to Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, who has brought the glories to this world for all of us. Without him, we would not know who Radharani is. So my prayers is to Srila Prabhupada, to my Siksha and Diksha Gurus, to the Vaishnava assembled here and in the cyberspace, that this morning as we hear glories of Srimati Radharani, all of us get inspired to become more dedicated to our seva and develop real attachment and love for our beautiful Srimati Radharani. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we will start with the verse on the board, Radharani's Pranam Mantra. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Anybody else would like to chant? Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye.
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I was just talking to Varuna.
Okay, this is the translation. O Srimati Radharani, I offer my respects to you whose bodily complexion is like molten gold. O goddess, you're the queen of Vrindavan, you're the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and are very dear to Lord Krishna. So this morning, I'm going to speak on a sutra that is written by Srila Prabhupada in one of his purport. Sutra means something very condensed. The words are loaded with meaning. And this is my favorite sutra from Srila Prabhupada about Srimati Radharani. And you will see that how each and every word that is in that little sutra contains everything, Radha Tattva and Leela. It's very important that we discuss Tattva. Because if we don't discuss Tattva, then we will take the Leela cheaply. And the other thing is that if we can't understand Tattva, we can definitely not understand Leela. So if we can't understand Tattva, there's no way that we can understand Leela. That means we're seeing the Leela in a cheap way. Therefore, we see that Srila Prabhupada has written in Krishna book. He gave us Krishna book way before he finished translating Srimad Bhagavatam. But he gave us the philosophy in Krishna book so we understand who Krishna is and what his pastimes are all about. Thank you. Okay, so this sutra is from the purport. Those who want to see it, Canto 2, Chapter 3, verse number 23. So here's the sutra. Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole. Now, first we'll go, in order to examine, discuss this sutra, we will go towards Supreme Whole. Tender-hearted feminine is an adjective to counterpart. So counterpart of the Supreme Whole. So before we understand what counterpart is, we have to understand what Supreme Whole is. So let's look at the word Supreme Whole. The dictionary meaning of whole is a thing that is complete in itself. And the word supreme, which is an adjective of the supreme, the definition is of authority or an office holding it superior to all others. So supreme whole is something superior to all others and complete in itself. So these are the dictionary meanings. So let us see what our Srimad Bhagavatam, how it's described what is supreme whole. We see that Srila Vyasadeva in his in the first canto, first chapter, first verse, he says, he describes absolute truth, or the supreme whole. The very first words he says, which is a invocation, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, and offering obeisances to him, and he described him as Bhagavate. So Bhagavate means it's onto Bhagavan. So Vyasadeva's father, Parashar Muni, he gives us a definition of what Bhagavan means. Ashvarasya samagrasya virayasya yashashasya jnana vairagyasya sannam bhagam itin gava. Samagra means complete. Complete. So what does the supreme whole, what does he have in complete? He has complete wealth. He has complete knowledge, complete fame, complete beauty, complete renunciation, complete power. So he has these 6 opulences in complete, and he is Bhagavan. So when we are hearing the Leela, like we just heard, the Dana Keli Leela, when we're hearing that Leela, it's important to know who is this Leela about. It's about somebody who is complete in all those opulences. So after that, in the same verse, after the invocation, Vyasadeva writes the first verse, and he says, Janma dasya yatonvaya aditaratas chartheshva bhigya swarat. Swarat means independent. Janma dasya yataha, from him everything comes. He is the cause of all causes. The supreme whole is the cause of all causes, and by him, he gives Adi Kavayed, that is Lord Brahma, he gives what? He gives him all knowledge, Tene Brahma Hrida. He gives knowledge to Brahma, all the knowledge that Lord Brahma had, he is the one who gives it. And he puts all the demigods into illusion, the demigods, the sages, everybody. So this is our supreme whole. Besides that, it describes that he, only because of him, do material universes temporally manifested by the reactions of the 3 modes of material nature appear factual, although they're unreal. So this is the supreme whole. And Radharani is the counterpart of the supreme whole. So she is not just anyone, she is the counterpart. So let's look at the definition of what counterpart is, so then we can understand what Prabhupada is saying here. The definition, dictionary definition for counterpart is a thing when added to another completes or complements it. So Radharani is a counterpart of the Supreme Whole. So she, at least that's this definition, counterpart says that completes or complements it. So let's look at what Krishnadas Kaviraj describes about what counterpart means. The verse that I thought would be appropriate is in Bengali, and that has a purport in there. But if we know Krishnadas Kaviraj in the first chapter of Adi Leela, I think it's the 4th verse, where he composes this Sanskrit verse, and then later on, the verses that he has composed earlier in the Adi Leela first chapter, one at a time, he discusses them in detail in Bengali, and that was the language, like Prabhupada translated everything in English and described to us in English. So similarly, Krishnadas Kaviraj, he composed Sanskrit verses and then he elaborated them in Bengali. So the verse that he composed in Sanskrit, I like to read that just for our own purification. The meter is kind of like, it goes with what I figured was Kadachit Kalindi, the verse for Lord Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pataka. So it seems like it would go with that meter, but I wasn't really able to chant it properly, so I'm just going to say it. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Hladini Shaktir Azmad Ekat Manavapi Bhuvi Pura Deha Bhedam Gatau Tau Chaitannakhyam Prakatam Adhuna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Sarupam. Translation of this verse is: the loving affairs of Shri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Shri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. So there is, as I said, there is no purport Prabhupada has written, but when Krishnadas Kaviraj translates or explains in Bengali, and then there's some purport which partly I'll read, but this is his first verse that he explains, explanation to this Sanskrit verse. Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dvi Deha Dhari Anyone Vilase Rasa Asvadana Kori. Translation for this is: Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed two bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. So you can see when Prabhupada is writing that Srimati Radharani is the counterpart of the Supreme Whole. So this verse describes or explains that how she is a counterpart of the Supreme Whole. She does complete him, she is the same, she complements him. They are one. Radha and Krishna are one and the same. So she is a counterpart, but they have assumed two bodies. So if one has assumed two bodies, naturally one is the counterpart of the other. And thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the two transcendentalists Radha and Krishna are a puzzle to materialists. The above description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mysteries of these two personalities. Prabhupada further explains this so that it's easier for us to understand. He says, one is enjoying in two. Shri Krishna is the potent factor and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. We cannot differentiate between one and the other any more than we can separate fire from heat. So you can see fire from heat. Heat is a counterpart of fire. So this is Radharani's tattva, her existence or who she is. We understand that Krishna has two potency, external and internal. And the internal potency is divided into three. Samvit potency, Sandhini potency, and Hladini potency. So the Sandhini potency is the existence potency, and Samvit is knowledge, and Hladini is pleasure potency. So actually, Hladini potency, which is Srimati Radharani herself, that includes the Samvit and Sandhini potency. We can understand that just like Madhurya Ras. Madhurya Ras is the highest ras, and it includes all the other rasas, that is Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya. All of them are included in Madhurya Ras. So similarly, Hladini potency includes the Sandhini and Samvit, which is, you have pleasure potency, so of course there's existence. You cannot have pleasure if there's nobody is existing. So existence is there, and is full of knowledge. So Hladini potency has already Samvit in there because it has knowledge. We can see from the gopis' prayers, the Gopi Geet, all the knowledge is displayed there. We see pleasure potency, but we see all those potencies being there in Hladini Shakti. So this is, further I just want to read a couple more things that Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj writes, explaining that first verse that I read, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti. He writes, Srimati Radharani is the transformation of Krishna's love. She is internal energy called Hladini. That Hladini energy gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. Now he describes the essence. The essence of Hladini potency is love of God. The essence of love of God is emotion. And the ultimate development of emotion is Mahabhav. Again, these topics are very, very high topics, but by repeating it over and over again, Radharani will be pleased and reveal these understandings to us. So let's go back to our sutra. So this covers Radha Tattva, counterpart of the Supreme Whole. Now, as I said, that I see that there is Leela in this sutra, and that is given by tender-hearted feminine. Those two words give the indication of the Leela aspect of Radharani. Tender-hearted feminine. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, after that little sutra, he writes something to help us understand. Srila Prabhupada is always writing things in such a way that we can understand and can bring it closer to us. So he writes, Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectionist stage of the worldly feminine nature. Wow, so beautiful. So we can understand what does it mean Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole. And he's saying, well, you're in the world here, and you know what real feminine quality is, and so Radharani resembles that perfectional stage of that worldly feminine nature. Now let's look at the definition of tender-hearted feminine. So the qualities that are associated with feminine nature I found were empathy, nurturing, soft, tender, beauty, dainty. Again, empathy, nurturing, soft, tender, beauty, dainty. And tender-hearted is described as having a compassionate, kindly, or sensitive disposition. So our Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole. I'm hoping by the end of the class you will have memorized, if you haven't already, this little sutta that Srila Prabhupada writes. Okay, so let's look at how does she display this tender-heartedness, this feminine qualities. Let's look at some, before I say how she displays that, let's look at the list of qualities that Srila Prabhupada describes in teachings of Lord Chaitanya while giving instructions to Sanatana Goswami, our Sambandha Guru. So please hear attentively these qualities. Her transcendental qualities are as follows. They're numbered 25. So please hear. She is sweetness personified. She's a fresh young girl. Her eyes are always moving. She's always brightly smiling. She possesses all auspicious marks on her body. She can agitate Krishna by the aroma of her person. She's expert in the art of singing. She speaks very nicely and sweetly. She's expert in presenting feminine attractions. She's modest and gentle. She's always very merciful. She's transcendentally cunning. She knows how to dress nicely. She's always shy. She's always respectful. She's always patient. She's very grave. She's enjoyed by Krishna. She's always situated on the highest devotional platform. She's the abode of love of the residents of Gokula. She can give shelter to all kinds of devotees, even us. She's always affectionate to superiors and inferiors. I mean, I think probably the word might be juniors, but anyway, this is what's written, to superiors and inferiors. She's always obliged by the dealings of her associates. She is the greatest among Krishna's girlfriends. She always keeps Krishna under her control. And Prabhupada writes, Radharani's transcendental attractiveness is greater than Krishna's, for her attractiveness is the transcendental taste in conjugal love. Krishnadas Kaviraj says, again explaining that verse, Shri Radha Thakurani is the embodiment of Mahabhav. She is a repository of all good qualities and the crest jewel among all the lovely consorts of Lord Krishna. So these are her qualities. And now we heard just now we heard a really nice pastime, Danakeli pastime that Hari Puja Mataji read to us. I'm also going to read a few pastimes here. What I would like you to do is meditate on the qualities that you have heard just now that you may see as you're hearing the pastime. Or you may think that, wow, yes, Radharani she's so qualified, no wonder why Krishna loves her the most. Whatever it may be, you can meditate upon Radharani's qualities. So the first, I kind of tried to get a variety of pastimes, so it kind of displays different qualities, although all the pastimes display all the qualities. sweetness personified, fresh young girl, eyes always moving, smiling. All of them are there, but there's sometimes you see a little more shyness, sometimes you see some cunningness, so different moods are definitely there. The first pastime that I would like to read is Srila Rupa Goswami's, how Rupa Goswami was blessed by Srimati Radharani. We know one time that Rupa Goswami, he wanted to let me just read this. One day, Srila Sanatana Goswami came to meet Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami desired to offer some sweet rice to Sanatana Goswami, but he had no ingredients in his kutir. Srimati Radharani, who is always eager to fulfill the desire of her pure devotee, understood the will of Rupa to serve Sanatana. So she went to the bhajan kutir of Rupa Goswami, dressed as a simple village girl with rice, sugar and milk, and she said to Rupa, "Oh Goswamiji, what kind of bhajan are you doing the whole day in your kutir? Why have you not gone for collecting your madhukari? Never mind, I bought some ingredients for you to make some sweet rice." Rupa Goswami had been wondering how he would make the sweet rice, and Radha Thakurani said, "If you like, I can prepare sweet rice very soon." And within no time at all, she prepared a delicious sweet rice. The whole kutir filled with nice smell of that sweet rice. As soon as the cooking was finished, Shri Radhika immediately disappeared from there. When Rupa Goswami came back, he saw that the girl had gone, and he was somewhat surprised. He offered that sweet rice to Lord Govinda and then served it to Sanatana Goswami. Immediately, Sanatana Goswami experienced ecstasy and lost himself in the transcendental taste of that preparation. He said to Rupa, "Who has prepared such tasty sweet rice?" And then Rupa Goswami explained. And then he realized that this was Srimati Radharani. So he kind of rebuked a little bit to Rupa Goswami, saying, you should do your madhukari. It is Srimati Radharani who actually came and did that. She's so tender, and she had to walk all the way here to prepare that. So this is how Srimati Radharani, one of the qualities was that she nourishes, gives shelter to all kinds of devotees and nourishes them. So here we saw that how Srimati Radharani came personally to fulfill the desire of Rupa Goswami. I'd like to read another pastime here. I like this one here. Krishna receives special alms from Radharani. So once there was a time when Radharani had developed man towards Krishna. She would get kind of upset. For this reason, she did not meet him for quite some time. So Krishna was feeling very restless to meet her. So he consulted Vishakha Devi what to do. So Vishakha advised Krishna to dress like a Brahman and disguise himself and then go to Radharani's house and beg alms. So it was early morning. Krishna went to beg alms and knocked at Jatila's door. And Jatila and Kutila both hadn't taken their bath. So they asked Radharani, could you please go and offer alms to this young Brahmin boy? But Radharani said, no, I'm not going to go before any male person other than my husband, she said. So since receiving the alms was delayed, Krishna in disguise, he said to Jatila, dear mother, it is getting late for me. I don't stay at one place more than the time it takes to milk a cow. I've been waiting here for so long now. I have to leave where I can get alms. And then Jatila was like really worried because here's a little Brahmin boy and he's going to go all upset without getting the alms. So she went to Radharani and said, you have to go. Someone in their family could die, or one of our cows might die. Please go and give alms to the young boy. So then Radharani finally agreed. So Radharani prepared a plate of alms with different ingredients such as grains, vegetables, and she went to the door along with her Sakhis to offer the alms to the Brahmin boy. Krishna, in the guise of a Brahmin beggar, said, "I do not require alms of this sort. I have come here to beg from you a different kind of alms. I want your man towards me." So then Radharani understood that this boy was Krishna. And so she uncovered her veil to show her smiling face. And guess what she did? She poured on Krishna's head everything she had brought on the plate to give him as alms. So that's why Krishna loves Radharani so much, because she does things like that. Anyway, so Krishna was very happy to accept his alms, and he left Jatila's house. He meditated on the special alms he received from his beloved Radharani. So then there's quite a few pastimes here, but I'll tell one last pastime.
You have to go to
9:30, okay. So this pastime is, again, by the way, these pastimes I have gone from Bhakti Purushottama Maharaj books on Radharani. He's got a lot of pastimes there, very sweet pastimes. So, this village is situated, Umarao, that's the village we're talking about, 4 or 5 miles from Chatravan. So when the Sakhis heard Sri Krishna's proclamation, and you'll hear about what the proclamation was, they complained to Lalita. She's the feisty one, yeah? So they complained to her. So this is what Bhakti Ratnakar says. Lalita became angry and said, "Who is that person who dares to claim authority over Radhika's kingdom? We will retaliate against him." So saying that, Radhika, what she did, she set Radhika on a beautiful throne and pronounced her to be the undisputed Umaraha, or queen. Chitra Sakhi held an umbrella. So this is like, from the past, and we see that she was like a queen, not like a village queen, but queen. So she had a nice big throne. And Chitra Sakhi held an umbrella over Radharani's head. Vishaka fanned her. And Lalita, she sat next to Radhika's left as her minister of state. So, when Lalita is there, it means business. So one Sakhi offered her pan, and the remaining Sakhis acted as subjects. So sitting her on her throne, Radhika ordered the Sakhis thus. This is what she said. "Go and defeat the person who desires to usurp my kingdom. Bind him and bring him before me." Receiving the order of their Umarao, thousands and thousands of Sakhis with flower sticks in their hands left for battle. That's a nice battle, yeah? Flower sticks. So when some of the cowherd boys, including Madhumangal, saw them approaching, they fled in all directions. However, there was one clever Sakhi, caught Madhumangal and bound him with the flower garland and brought him to the lotus feet of the Umarao. Some gopis slapped Madhumangal's cheeks a few times and said, "What audacity you have to try to unlawfully seize the authority of this kingdom from our Umarao? We will punish you now." Madhumangal bowed his head low like a defeated general and said, "That is befitting. We are defeated, but give such a punishment that will fill my stomach." Hearing this, Maharani Radhika started laughing and said, "This is just some gluttonous Brahmin. Release him." The Sakhis then gave them huge amounts of laddus and let him go. Madhumangal then returned to Chhatrapati Maharaj Krishna. Pretending to weep, he gave Krishna a detailed report of his humiliating detention. Hearing this, Krishna, together with Madhumangal and the Sakhas, invaded Umarao. And when Srimati Radhika saw her Prana Vallabha Shri Krishna, she became very embarrassed and wanted to take off her umarao dress. But the Sakhis, laughing, would not let her to do so. So you can see she expressed a different mood here. She became so embarrassed and shy. Madhumangal seated Chhatrapati Shri Krishna on Umarao's Radhika's right side. They both made a treaty in which Krishna accepted Radhika's sovereignty. Madhumangal folded his hands before Srimati Radharani and said, "The kingdom of Krishna's body is now under your rule. You can take whatever you desire from him." Jai. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Yeah. So these are some of the pastimes of display of Srimati Radharani's feminine qualities that we just heard of. So now in that purport that I just read, then Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole. Let me read the next part. Resembling the perfectional stage of the worldly feminine nature. After this sentence, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srimati Radharani is so merciful. She has such nice qualities. So what do we get out of it? What's our profit? What's our gain? We're always thinking, what's our gain? What do we get? So Srila Prabhupada writes the next word. He says, therefore. Therefore meaning because she is tender-hearted, feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees. And once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us what we need to do. Radharani's mercy is readily available, and once she recommends such a devotee, Lord Krishna accepts. So 20 years ago, we just heard from Mother Hari Puja. A nice booklet has come out about our Radheshyam. We're talking about our Radheshyam, our Radharani. So 20 years ago, under Nanda Devi's direction, Radharani appeared amongst us here. For what? So that we can serve her. That's why she appears here, so we can serve her. It is out of the kindness of her heart that she's here. She has been here for 20 years. And so many services were performed before she came for Radheshyam's appearance. And I will mention her because today is Radharani's appearance day. So many services have been done after she has been installed. And we should definitely read that leaflet or booklet, I should say, not leaflet, booklet, to see how they came here, how they were installed, and what services were done. Srila Prabhupada writes, I think he spoke that on Radhastami. This is something that Pran Govinda Prabhu just recently had read also. It's just very sweet. Srila Prabhupada's writing to us, telling us that how we can approach Radharani, or how we can approach the deities, is through Radharani. And he said, we should worship Radharani first. That is our business. Instead of offering directly one flower to Krishna, you just put it in the hands of Radharani. And then he tells us how we can say, what we can say. My mother Radharani, Jagat Mata, if you could kindly take this flower and offer it to Krishna. Oh, Radharani says, oh, you brought a flower? Krishna said, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhakta Prayachati. But don't try to offer Krishna directly. Prabhupada is saying that. Don't try to offer Krishna directly. just offer to Radharani. It would be very much appreciated by Srimati Radharani. So that's our meditation could be. It would be nice, our meditation, that anything we offer through our body, minds, and words, our Lakshmi, our talents, our prayers, everything, we can offer it to Radharani first. Sometimes, I know most of the time I don't think that way, but it was nice for me to prepare for the class because it really came that we can offer to her first. Krishna is happy and Radharani is happy because then she offers it to Krishna. So each one of us has something to offer, no matter who we are. Radharani is here, she has come in our presence, so we can offer something. Each one of us has something to offer. Each one of us, something. No matter where we are, what is our condition. And I was thinking that with this Zoom culture now, we got more to offer. I mean, it's amazing. Services that others wouldn't do are willing to do on Zoom culture. Just like on Prabhupada's appearance day, it was just such a nice sight to see Parma and his family doing an offering with all four of them offering to Srila Prabhupada, which wouldn't happen if it was here actually. I was also thinking about Madhuri Leela. She did such a nice, where she's sitting. You would think she's here, but she is here actually, but she's not here physically. She is in Toronto. She's been there for a couple of years. But she hosted such a nice Zoom meeting for Shamali's disappearance. It was just so nice to see that she's not deprived of serving our Radheshyam or her Radheshyam, sitting in Toronto doing that. And her co-host, Vaishnavi, we know Ananta Sesha's health, there's some restriction, but she has no problem. She always zooming away on the computer with Bhakti Mark Maharaj and otherwise. And their team, Namamrita Prabhu, even his situation, if you know Namamrita Prabhu, he's always thinking how to do service. And so here he is, the team of the Zoom, he's able to perform service. I was also thinking about Nanda. When her fingers were taken, her concern was, how will I serve Radheshyam? How will I dress them? Her desire was so strong, and her concern was so strong, that you would never think, look how beautifully when she dresses Radheshyam, they're so beautiful. So when there's a desire, there's a way. Radharani is there. Radharani nourishes his devotees, Krishna's devotees, that's Radharani. And so she will be there to help us. Whatever service we want to do, there is no restriction. All of us have something to offer. So pray to Radharani, and she will arrange for you to be able to serve some way or other. That is Srimati Radharani. And when you do that, when we are able to pray to her and pray to her for service, we get attached and we get blessings and we get miracles happen. Don't think that the miracles only happen in the Shastra. Miracles happen right here. With all of us, if we have eyes to see, but amazing miracles happen. One that I would like to share, because I was just talking about Rupa Goswami and how Srimati Radharani came to him and personally cooked the sweet rice. Because why? Rupa Goswami wanted to serve another devotee, Sanatan Goswami. And so we see that happening amongst us. I heard this a few years ago actually. Leela Padma telling me one time that how it was one of her friend's birthday, and she wanted to give Chota Radheshyam's garlands to her friend. So she asked Radhikaraman Prabhu, her husband, I think he might have had some service in the evening there on the altar or in the pujari room. Could you please get me Chota Radheshyam's garlands? And he forgot. What's new? Men, they forget. Yeah? Is that right, Divyanga? They forgot. So anyway, so she was disappointed because she really wanted to do so. So next morning, Radhika Raman Prabhu, I guess maybe he had to wake the deities up, I'm assuming. Radhika Raman Prabhu here, maybe he could tell the story better. But anyway, so when he went to wake the deities up, guess what he saw? He saw Chota Radheshyam's garland stuck on big Radharani's skirt. Now, this is not the first time that happened to Radhika Raman Prabhu. He's got a lot of stories from Mayapur. But this is my point. I mean, to me, immediately, what pastime it made you think? What pastime would make you think of? That's right, Shir Chor Gopinath. Radharani saved the garland for Radhika Raman Prabhu to give to his wife, Leela Padma, to give to her friend. This is Radharani's mercy. And you see, there's so many pastimes you can hear. And this is because Radharani nourishes Krishna's devotee. So, Srila Prabhupada, just again glorifying Srimati Radharani, the importance of glorifying and worshipping Radharani. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in the Jaladuta by himself and going through so much sickness and everything, on September 13th, I think, if I remember the date correctly, he wrote a poem. What he writes in the diary, I thought was very sweet. He writes that, then I revealed my mind in confidence to Krishna in the poem. So that was the poem, is that he revealed his mind to his companion. He writes, he revealed his mind to his companion, Shri Krishna. That's what he wrote in his diary. Krishna tava punya habe bhai, Krishna tava punya habe bhai. He's saying, oh brother, Krishna tava punya, you will get Krishna's punya, or virtue or mercy. E punya koribe jabe, Radharani khushi habe. You will get e punya koribe jabe. You will get this punya when? Radharani khushi habe. When Radharani is happy. So, and then he says, Dhruva ati boli tomatai, Dhruva ati. He's saying that like, not just saying that, but this is the truth. Dhruva ati. Ati meaning really, this is the real truth. Is that you will only get Krishna's mercy if Radharani is happy. So, it is important that we approach Srimati Radharani and please her. Now, our Prayojana Guru, Raghunath Das Goswami, in his Vilap Kushmanjali, he goes to the extent, remember he's our Prayojana Guru, and although this is in ecstasy, he's saying that, the whole prayers are way up there, but he says one thing. He says, my life is worthless. I will give it up without receiving your mercy. Living in Radhakund and Vrindavan is meaningless to me. To say nothing of Vrindavan, even Krishna himself is useless to me without you. O Srimati Radharani, you are the only object of my life. Please be merciful to me. Crying profusely in great lamentation, I hold your lotus feet to my heart. And what does he beg? He begs for your loving service. So our Prayojana Guru, Raghunath Das Goswami, is begging for loving service towards Srimati Radharani. And in the very end now, I will take you, those who are in the cyberspace, if you can have a picture of Srimati, not a picture, but picture of our Srimati Radharani, and I will read a prayer by Rupa Goswami, and that we'll end our class here. This prayer is from Shatu Pushpanjali. Did I?
Just from
You need an expert to know how to switch on and switch off a mic. Okay, thank you, Shri Ram Govinda. Okay, so please look at our Srimati Radharani and meditate as I read this from Rupa Goswami, our Abhidaya Guru. O Queen of Vrindavan, Shri Radha, I worship you. Your fair complexion is more resplendent than molten gold. The color of your sari, the hue of a blue lotus flower. Even the beautiful lotus in full bloom or the rising full moon offers no comparison to your breathtaking face, for it is much more exquisite. The arches of your elegant eyebrows put to shame Cupid's bow. Your cascading black tresses sway, and the dark mascara on your roving eyes makes them look like restless black partridges. Your fine nose is decorated by a ring studded with the noblest pearl, and your lips are more charming than bright red tulips. Your sparkling, even teeth are like rows of spotlessly white jasmine buds. O Srimati Radha, among all the beloved gopis, you are the cherished jewel. Therefore, kindly be pleased with me. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Radhastami ki jai. Hare Krishna. We're out of time.
I am in a hotel in Denver.
We're running out of time. It's already 9:30.
It's okay, you can start.
That's what I'm saying. It's only Verona, so we don't need to hear.
We don't need to take no questions from Verona.
Chaturatma is saying, don't take any questions from Verona.
I am in hotel in Denver. My heart is full of pride and joy seeing my sister giving class. Actual fact is, Mother Madhumati is an elevated devotee. Obeisances to her.
No comments from Verona. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
Glorification by the brother is like glorification by the wife, doesn't count.
That's right, you got that right.
I wanted to just tell one very short story. You were talking about miracles from Radhesham, and if we have the vision, we can experience and see them. So for me, one that stands out was April 23rd, 2017. My wife was due to give birth. The due date was like in 3 days after that, and we came for kirtan in the evening in front of Radhesham, and Danya was singing, and I wrote this. Tonight, during the last darshan, and while Danya was singing, I was standing up dancing and thought how grateful I was to be here, now, and how I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I thought about how fortunate and blessed I am to be able to reside in New Raman Reti Dham, and that this was most likely our last Sunday feast as a family of 2. I realized this was most likely the last time I would see the deities before Nadia went into labor, and so I prayed to Radhesham for everything to go smoothly and for Lord Balaram to give Nadia strength. A few moments later, as I danced, I saw something fall from Sham. I thought it was a flower and went closer to investigate. As I took a step toward the altar, I saw Srimati Radharani's left earring fall. I was stunned and realized I had seen both Radhe and Shyam's earrings fall. There at both their feet lay the earrings, Shyam's right and Radha's left. I went and told the pujari, and she said it was because they loved Danya's kirtan so much and they couldn't stop dancing. She said that when something like that happens in Mayapur, they just give the Maha piece right to the person who saw it. I told her that my wife was due on Tuesday and that I had been praying. She said, let me see what I can do. She closed the curtains for the night and then reached through the side and handed me a huge gardenia and said, this is from Srimati Radharani's hand.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, it would be nice to hear stories from the devotees about how Srimati Radharani is so personal. Jai.